welcome back to campus. I guess it hasn't been that long, but exciting day, just for our football program. Exciting day for these guys that have signed with us. It's a long old process, and I know you guys, many of you in this room, follow us very closely and know all about that. And I guess I want to thank you for all the coverage of our team and all year long. And it's still continuing. The journey's still going on, but appreciate all the coverage of our program. And just these guys that are joining our football family, we're so excited. I think it's a combination of just bringing in elite talent. I think the athleticism, there are some things that we were focused on, especially with certain positions. Might be length at some positions, athleticism, production. Guys who maybe can get on the field sooner than later, just with graduation and some things there. But I know everyone's going to say it, but I just love the character and the support systems, because it's not just always families, it's coaches that are around these guys that have made them who they are. And so excited about what the relationships have been that have grown through the recruiting process over the last year or 2 years in some cases. Just going to these guys' houses the last couple weeks, it's fun because you can tell that they're all in with what we're doing, and a lot of these guys, most of them were committed. I guess you got the transfers, a couple that were late here, but most of them were committed this summer when we weren't 13-0 at that time, and you're kind of trying to figure out exactly what the conference alignment might be, and a little bit of limbo and some questions that were getting asked at that time. So these guys, for the most part, that committed to us and now signed, they took us and trusted us, took us for where we were at and what we were all about, and wanted to be a part of the football family here. And so they're going to certainly make our program strong. Before I say much about the guys, and I know you guys have a lot of questions, just got to thank our staff. Now our general manager was our director of player personnel, Courtney Morgan. That guy, man, he pulls it all together, and he's got a staff that just works tirelessly. Courtney just, you trust, your whole staff, but, Courtney as the evaluator and just kind of pulling, the coaches and the prospects all together. Just he does a phenomenal job. I can't say enough about him, and he's a pleasure to work with every day. He's a relationship builder with the prospects, as well as just managing his own staff. But the whole staff, from organizing unofficial visits that happen almost year round, right? There's dead periods, but official visits, coordinating travel, making sure just everyone's on the same page with our staff, keeping the boards in line and organized there. It's endless, what happens, and obviously they're part of the relationship piece and selling our culture and our program as well. So you can go on and on, right? There's academic pieces to this as far as the importance that our academic staff play as well in making these guys feel like, hey, this is not just a football piece, there's an academic piece as well. Our coaching staff just always evaluating our own roster, understanding how we got to work together to continue to upgrade and sometimes fill holes. Sometimes it's that. And just working together in united effort to, not just recruit your position or just your side of the ball. It's everyone. I think that's unique still, or unique maybe more these days. There is a lot of positional recruiting, but there is a unified effort that starts with territories that we each have, or each coach has. But it's been fun watching the development of the 2024s. I think trusting our evaluation early in the process, I think it can be seen just in how even these guys that are coming in have grown from last year to this year and still have even a higher ceiling when you think about what's going to happen here at the college level. So excited about these guys in terms of what is yet to come, and most of these guys have by far their best football ahead of them, especially once they get in our strength and conditioning program and development as a whole in our program. Just as far as the recruiting class, we have some guys that I know that we're not still able to release at this point. Anticipate a couple, whether it be transfers or high school prospects in the days to come. Just kind of working through from a compliance end some things that we can't release them yet. A lot of it has to do with just signing and stuff, but 15 high school players right now at this time, and 4 transfers that we're able to release right now. So, we have 13. We knew it would be a small class, smaller class. I think last year we were under 20 or at 20, 19 or 20 high school guys, and we knew it would probably be just a touch under that, depending on who, as the season went along, we felt would going to probably maybe move on to the NFL and maybe some attrition. There's always going to be a little bit of that. So, but with only 13 seniors in the class, we knew it would be a little bit smaller. And, I feel really good about the combination of high school guys and portal, ads that we've had. And like I said, there'll probably be a couple more yet in the days, maybe even the weeks to come yet before we hit the school time there. So with January and the winter quarter. So, I'll go through, guys, here just real briefly, probably more by position. Just offensive line, there's 2, Pocky and David. Pocky, just was our first commitment. That's probably the thing I will say about him, just buying into everything we had and in the program here. And God can go on and on about how explosive he is, how he stays attached, at the line of scrimmage. He just gets off the football. Just a real athlete, and got a frame to build into. Just put some good weight on, and just an amazing young man. Been really fun seeing him buy into what Troy Fatanu. I think he got to know him a little bit over the course of the winter and the spring, and really kind of looked at him as a guy that I can be that guy, and I really like his personality too. And so credit our players always, right, because they're as good of a recruiter on our staff when people see our culture, when people see just what our locker room looks like, what from a player standpoint. And this is a situation where I think Pocky really saw what our offensive line personality was, how those guys got along, and he got a lot of time to just really kind of get a feel for that. So David comes to us from Clovis North High School. That's just down the street from where I actually lived not long ago. Things happen for a reason. And, he was a kind of a late comer in the process for us. But once we saw him and really, the guy just blew us away. There was a couple recommendations as we were kind of feeling out what he was all about early, watching his film, that came unsolicited, as far as, just throwing recommendations out there, really no ties to the program. Just, coaches that he was playing against that were like, man, this guy's the real deal. And, he's a big frame. He's a big, massive human that, has a quick first step and just an amazing family, amazing person. He loves ball. He's just, explosive, moving people. Just love everything that David brings. And, again, we had probably some other guys early in the process, but like I said, I think things work out the way they're supposed to, and we're certainly glad David is with us. Wide receiver, we have 2 right now to release and talk about, and that's Justice Williams and Jason Robinson. Both explosive, but different styles, right? Justice, big, tall, massive, receiver, just, going over the top, running around behind still with his speed, round guys with his speed. His dad was a NFL football player. Had won a Super Bowl with the Rams there. Still tied into things there. Just an awesome family. Both parents athletes. Got great bloodlines for sure. But he is just so gifted. Just with what he does. With the ball in his hands and just how smooth he is. I'm super excited about what he brings to the table here, and it's a big receiver, a big, and I think he's really just scratching the surface. I think he's just really, wasn't like a big 7-on-7 guy, through all of these years. And so I think there's just a lot of potential that he has. Jason Robinson, just a great route runner. Truly, I mean, he just loves ball and eats, sleeps, and breathes it. He made his announcement. What I remember, one of the things that was really cool is he made his announcement at one of our dinners here on campus. Was one of the first commits over that weekend and made it publicly, had a well-written speech, just so impressive that way as a person. And just has really been really cool to get to know him and his family as well. But just two explosive guys in little different ways. Run after catch for Jason, and getting the ball in his hands, he's a huge threat as well. So Decker DeGraff, our tight end, just a terrific receiving tight end. He'll be a guy that can play with his hand down, very comfortable out in space. He can catch the fade balls. He'll go over the middle. He's really tough. Posted some really huge numbers. It was almost right at 1,000 yards, I think 990 some yards there, double-digit touchdowns. And so just in 1 year. And so a guy that's used to being super productive, very just, consistent, week in and week out. Had a coach even this year in December, well after, the commitments and all that happened. He didn't say in certain words that he underestimated what he could do, but he just talked about how big of a deal Decker was to the entire team. And so just imposing, his will and just helping lead his team, I think is something that you can see when you watch Decker's film week in and week out this season. And then Demarcus Davis, Marmar, had a chance with camps and everything to just see him up close early in the process, and really attracted to what he did. He's got all the measurables from a height, being able to run, move around with his feet, extend plays that way. I love what he does with his arm strength, his arm talent, his accuracy. Again, we got a chance to see him up close with camps and so forth. I think he brings a leadership value. He's a little more quiet right now, but I know I can see it in him at times as he led his team throughout the year, where he continued to even develop as a leader there. And so I know getting here, and as you grow and become older, and I've seen even guys in our program right now and how they've raised their game in being a vocal leader. So just really excited about what the future is with our quarterback position. And he's obviously attracted to us with what has happened and what our tradition is of being quarterback-driven and quarterback-led, whether it be statistically or just as that guy, in our football team. Moving over to the defensive side, we have 4, and I'm just going to kind of put them all together, but 4 defensive linemen. That includes the 2 edges, 2 interior guys. Omar and Mana, the interior guys, and Noah and Kiona are the edges. I just feel like moving into the Big Ten, these are the type of guys you absolutely want on the football field and want to be recruiting. Explosive edges, length with Noah and Kiona. Noah, I mean, you see his film, you're seeing him you're seeing return punts for touchdowns, catching fades as a wide receiver. Elite athlete all around. I mean, he uses his hands well. And again, because he's doing all these things in different ways for his football team, I just think there's so much growth that he has just in the technical piece, learning the edge position. But man, he was voted, defensive player, or selected as the defensive player of the year in the state there in Arizona. Kiona, also from Arizona there, just extreme length, just a motor that doesn't stop, just getting after people and plays physical, and his frame, when you see him walk in the door, you're just going to be like, wow, this is a guy that gets one season here in the weight room. I think both these guys are guys that can do some things and helping us out here sooner than later in their careers. So I'm extremely excited about both of those guys at the edge position. And then Mana, length, just his change of direction as a big guy already, with some good weight on him. Just I think the sky's the limit for him. Just such a likable personality, kind of this guy that you love hanging around, but when you get on the football field, he's just got a nastiness to him that you love. And so really feel good about what he's going to do for us, putting on that weight that you need and continue to grow and be that player that can hold down the line of scrimmage there, moving on into the Big Ten. Omar Khan is just physically, I mean, just you go around and you give him a pat on the back, and you can feel the development of him and how strong he is already. Just when he comes off the line of scrimmage, I mean, he's hitting you in the mouth, and so packs a punch there. Just really great kid, just great family. Excited about all these guys, and again, I brought up their families, but these Omar certainly has had great support back home, and you talk to him every time, and he's got that excitement to him, that energy to him. I know that's going to only feed and be contagious to the rest of our football team. The defensive backfield, I think the priority there, just some length, and for between Peyton Waters and Josh Lair and Paul Minke, probably more at the safety position. That could be the safeties, that could be the nickel, the Husky position, and those guys, if you've seen them, they're kind of all guys that can play different spots. But I think you got great length in all of them. You got some guys like Peyton, and Peyton in particular can do the kickoff returns, punt return. I mean, he's scoring touchdowns in a lot of different ways for his football team down here, down in California, and just a lot of similarities, I think, between personalities. Just consistent performances week in and week out between Peyton, Josh, and Paul. Josh, just a missile. Coming downhill, anticipates, loves to come down and attack, not just, the passing game, but the line of scrimmage, and makes a lot of plays in the backfield. Paul Minke, sitting there roaming the secondary just on his, film and the things we've seen from him, really has that he can kind of see where the quarterback's going and anticipate, get those first steps, and he can really run. I just love the way all these guys can move, but there's been some times where I've seen him just like track guys down that you never thought were going to be possible. So Paul was a late add to us, a guy that we went through the process with and just stayed the course. He's got some local family ties, as far as mom and dad that grew up and went through even college years here in the state of Washington. So excited about all these guys, and then Elias Johnson just down the road here, and coming in as a corner, brings length, getting some things even in the return game where he shows out and is explosive that way. So all those guys as a collective whole, just really excited about what they can do in the secondary. I think they're exactly what you're looking for. Linebacker, Kamari House, coming from a great program there, just extremely athletic, has played at a high level against great talent for really his entire career, and comes from like I said, come from a winning culture. I think there's something to that. Guy that I think just I bring up the energy a couple times with these guys. I think that's what he is, bringing great positivity, bringing great energy, and will add to our culture just from his experiences and where he comes from as far as being, in a program there that's used to winning. So flies around and makes a lot of plays. So I'm thinking I got through all 15. I tried to summarize. I got them all, didn't I? 2, 4, 5, 6, yeah. And then we got 4 transfers that we can announce right now. Will Rogers at quarterback, coming from Mississippi State, highly productive, over 12,000 yards passing, which is, I think he's had over 1,000 completions, which is the most ever, I think, in SEC history. And so just a guy that knows the game, isn't going to walk into a stadium and be overwhelmed by anything. Extremely accurate as a passer. I think very heady, just, really a team guy, just contacts and the people that we've talked with, understanding what type of leadership he'll bring to our football team, and just being consistent in not just what his play is on the field, but who he is as a person. Drew has a party coming from San Diego State, offensive line, just a big man that moves extremely well. And I can't wait to have him here this offseason and, being able to just grow in our program and work with Coach Huff and the offensive line there. He's going to fit in really well as a person, as well as a player, and the need there with, some with Troy, moving on for sure. And at the tackles position there. So really excited about Drew. He just really gelled. We loved him from the get-go when we saw his film. Ethan Barr, two-time team captain there at Vanderbilt. I think that says a lot about who you are when you're a captain. Just a big, long linebacker with a couple guys now graduating our program. We felt the need to bring in one there that can help us. And he's an upperclassman, a lot of experience there. Just really consistent, but stable guy that we're excited about. Personality-wise too, just felt like he fit who we are and what we're looking for. A hard worker there, and then Sebastian Valdez from Montana State, interior defensive tackle, and just with some guys graduating there and being done, Thule and so forth. Just excited about what Sebastian's role can be, and we need him to step on the football field and be an impact player for us right away. He understands that and was excited about that challenge, that opportunity. All conference performer there, and that's great football that they play there. I'm very familiar with it, and just excited about what he'll do. Ready to attack and go get it. And so he felt like it was a great fit, and so did we. So a lot more I can share. I know you guys probably have particular questions. Certainly open to any questions you might have.
How many more people do you expect before this is done?
I don't know exactly. I think a combination of the high school and the junior, the transfer portal, a few. I wouldn't expect it to be more than 5, but we have a few more slots that we would hope to fill, and a few more that I think we anticipate to be filled and be able to announce.
When you say possibly 5, do you have a sense of guys leaving, staying? Because obviously the numbers are in flux and it's hard with timing. But is that going to continue to evolve as you learn more there?
Yeah, I think it is, and I think what you're hitting on with it, it's hard to know. With our season where it's at, and just the this isn't just any normal bowl game, right? We're playing in a Final Four, and I think you guys all understand that. It's hard to know for sure, but we feel we got a few spots left that we can fill, and so that space right there is kind of what we're working with, and we'll continue to be fluid. The one thing that I guess is a plus, even though we do start school very quickly here at the beginning of January, we do have opportunities to bring some guys in, for the spring quarter too. And so, I think there'll probably have to be some of that and adjusting, being flexible as that evolves within our program as our season comes to an end, here in the first couple weeks in January.
When you brought Michael Penix in from the portal, you made clear that was going to be an equal competition through the spring and through the fall. What's the message to Will Rogers coming in, and how do you go about handling reps with him?
Sure. Yeah, I think first of all, I just want to say, Austin Mack has been amazing this year. He's been everything and then some of what we had hoped for and expected. The guy is going to play some big-time ball for us here in this program, and he had just a great fall. Got a lot of reps even in team sessions. Wasn't just hanging out on the scout team. He was with us, and you can just see what he's capable of. And so super excited about him. I think anytime, and even Will coming in, he just knows you got to be on top of your game. We're going to play the best guy always, and obviously his experience and all that. There's a reason why we're bringing him in too. But. College football, it's always competitive, and he's going to have a chance to learn the offense, and it won't happen overnight. And him gel with the skill guys, the offensive line and so forth. So it doesn't happen just with the snap of a finger. So we're certainly looking forward to working through the process with him this spring, But I know he's ready and eager to work, and his experience, being competitive and taking over a job. And I mean, he's not been the only quarterback in that program. There's other guys that were always trying to knock him off, but he's put in some really good years there, and super competitive, and has a lot of those intangibles that you want in a quarterback that we've certainly vetted out. So we're feeling really good about Will, and as I shared earlier, I mean, Austin has just been lights out. I mean, there's always, when I say lights out, I mean there's things knows he's got to improve on, but where he's at as a first-year player, just being here, through the fall, I mean, it's exciting to see his growth and development.
Bringing in Will when you've got Dylan sitting there, and now Dylan's entered the portal. Can
Yeah.
you talk a little bit about how
Yeah.
you balance that out and how delicate that can be?
It is. It is delicate, and I think everyone knows that Dylan has gone with the portal, and that's been a mutual thing that we've talked about. I think we owe it to Dylan, not that you owe, but just what Dylan's done for this program, and how he's been, so supportive of our coaching staff, the entire team, and in particular Michael Penix. Dylan, competed his tail off for this job, over the last year, a year ago, and when that didn't happen, he never wavered as far as how strong he just was going to be with his involvement with this team and the support. And our team loves him. I mean, he absolutely. And I think it's a really unique situation. It's not one where, I think every situation is its own individual thing, but in particular with Dylan, I think it was pretty easy for us to be willing to help him try to figure out what is best, because this time that you have playing college football comes and goes very quickly. And so we want him to, we'd love to have him here in this program, but we also want his college experience to be something that he remembers. And I think the communication's been there since day one, not just this year, but going back the past 2 years, and his maturity. And I think he's a guy that can work through this as he's trying to figure out what lies ahead for him. I think he can work through that and still be focused on preparing himself and the quarterback position and our entire team to go win a semifinal game. So, it's unique, but I feel like it's something that I think Dylan, not deserves, but just is something that we can entrust him with this unique situation that we're in.
You mentioned it, but you're obviously losing all your starters up front on defense. And in terms of what you've done so far with transfers, with high school, all that, do you feel like you've addressed that the way that you wanted to, or is there more that still needs to be done?
I think there will be possibly more. I think we're in a good place right now, but we know that everything starts up front, and both sides of the ball. So we'll continue to just really be selective, and I think that's what we've done over the last couple of years with the portal. We just don't bring in anyone and everyone. There's been, over the last 2 years, guys that have come onto campus, and in the end, it just didn't feel like the right fit, and the perfect timing. And so, at any position, so whether it be our end or their end, and so we'll continue to just really be flexible, I think, in all the positions, but up front, there certainly is with the guys at the edges, with 3 guys really kind of moving on, whether it's graduation or Braylon, onto the NFL, which is what we'd expect, that those pieces, and then the interior piece. I think we're in a good spot, but we'll never be done, I think, recruiting up front on either side of the ball, just with some still potential moving parts there on the offensive line and defensive line.
Are there certain positions that you prefer to mostly recruit high school guys each year? Are there certain positions where you're always going to be looking more in the portal, or is it more fluid than that?
I think up front you'd prefer to. I just think it's really hard to find the line, the offensive line, defensive line guys. When you can develop the guys as high school football players, and I feel good about the 5. We brought in 5 offensive linemen last year, and they're doing a really nice job growing and developing and coming along. And so I know that there's going to be some really good football played for those guys, for example. And I think that's got to be, in the end, the recipe for hopefully your entire team. Living in the portal, I think, is just really hard from a cultural standpoint, but also just, continuity and just banking on that is hard. But I think filling in pieces and needs and things like that, you have to do that if you want to be playing for championships. And so we'll continue to do that. But I think each side of the ball, the offensive line, defensive line, I think you really got to be trying to develop guys, and putting good weight on them. And there's so much chemistry, I think, that exists up front. That's critical to your success. It's a unit within the team, a unit within the unit on each side of the ball that just really has to be, I think, groomed and brought along from an early, from the time they come out of high school. Now, again, we brought in a couple of guys, one on each side, and we just felt like there was a need, and then we've got the right guys, and being able to plug them into, on offensive line or defensive line. I think these guys were great fits and good timing for what we were looking for.
Can you talk a little bit about how you navigated the NIL situation between high school and portal guys? I mean, is there a salary cap, or is there?
There's no cap. You guys know that.
Can you talk a little bit about how you navigate that?
Yeah, I think it still comes down to just really identifying what it is that these guys are looking for, when they're trying to choose a college, and what their priorities are. And I think there's a reason why you see our team fighting the way they fight, and the makeup and the feel that our team has, just the vibe it has. I'm super proud of it. There is no doubt that NIL is becoming more of a part, and it's a part of every recruiting weekend. It's a cool thing that these guys get this opportunity, and so we want to make sure that it's known that those opportunities exist here at UW, and it can exist on I would consider a high level. It's all relative, right, to where you're at, but it's been something as our success has happened, and our community, our donors. I mean, everyone's just embraced it more and more. It's becoming a positive for us, and but it is. I mean, I think you still have to identify the right people first, and we're not talking about just even the talent, but just what do those guys want when they're picking their university, and the type of growth, and what are their goals, short-term, long-term, beyond college, whether it's the NFL or just, life after football. And so I think our guys, our coaching staff has done a really good job navigating. I think that's a really good word that you use there, through it, and figuring out, the guys that fit who we are, and who, of course, we still got to have to go win football games, because we understand that that's, what it's about, is going out there and putting a great football team on the football field.
How much did not signing a running back speak to your confidence at that position moving forward with a bunch of guys coming back?
What was the first part you said?
The running back position without signing anybody in this
Oh,
class.
yeah.
Does it speak to the confidence that you have in that room coming back?
Yeah, I mean, that room is still a little bit log jammed. And I mean that in a good way. I think the guys that are there, and we do have, Rich graduating and some things there, but, we're still over our number at that position. And so it's a good thing, but also does kind of limit you on what you can bring in. And we'll continue to sort through that here in the weeks ahead. But there's still some decisions made, right? Dylan and things like that. So all these positions, really, I mean, you can almost go to one guy or two guys at every position, and understand that it's fluid. I think going back to what's it going to look like with other guys coming in your program. And it's the timing of it gets hard, because I think that, when you're talking about the portal and transfers, I mean, I think this window is the one where you get the stronger amount of talent. It seemed like that was the trend a year ago. We'll see. I guess every year probably will be a little bit different, but that's the piece that we just got to be ready for. And then again, it goes back to your high school recruiting and getting guys in to where you're not just counting on that. And so the development of our current roster is critical, for our success next year and beyond.
You guys did.
Kalen, you last year lost a player at the last minute. Is that potentially happening again?
Who?
With The quarterback last year flipped at the end, and
Oh, you're talking about a high school
Yeah.
signee?
Yeah.
I think until they're signed, you never know, right? And so, but there's also, I think with some of the situations, just, there's some things also just got to work through, whether it's high school or the transfers, just working through the real signing of it too, so, but, I mean, yeah, until they're in, they're never in,
I
officially
know
in.
it's competitive out there, but is it been out of control with people trying to take your commits at all through the process?
Oh yeah, I think one thing that our staff has done a really good job of is IDing guys with high ceilings, and not just looking at the number of stars they have a year before or 2 years before they're going to graduate, but really, I mean, just watching like in great detail, whether it's at camps and identifying, or just really getting to know these kids and what their makeup is, talking with high school coaches and really listening, to who their young guys are that are coming up, or the details about what fits who we are, and what, hey, maybe this guy is in 3 or 4 sports and isn't physically developed in the weight room, and has a lot of room to grow. It could be a lot of different things, but I think our staff does an amazing job of identifying the talent. And so what happens then is we get to the fall of their senior year, and all of a sudden they're showing out on the football field like many of these guys did, on a higher level than maybe most expected, or just had to kind of wait and see it, and then people take notice, and like, whoa, that's a pretty good football player, and so again, today's a big day because you got guys that you identified that you have a lot of excitement for, are very talented, and they stayed true to their commitment, and so we're excited about that. But yeah, it's an ongoing process. I feel a lot of these guys were continuing to be sought after by other teams well after their commitment, and even up until these last couple days.
You guys didn't sign anyone from the state of Washington, which I'm not sure when that's ever happened here. And I know that, sometimes there's just not guys available, or they're not looking here, whatever it is. Well, why do you think that is in this cycle?
I think that our class is still a bit smaller, and there's, the numbers piece, and just trying to figure it out with the portal. We want kids from Washington, and we know that there's great football that's being played here, and guys that we'll continue to recruit and grow relationships with. But I think it will be. We'll make sure there's always an emphasis, and we'll always want to pursue that. But this year that's just kind of the way it is at this point. With where we're at, I don't. Much more to change, but I think there's also just still going to be a recruitment, because maybe you don't get them the first time around, but then they do leave your state, and we'll handle things the right way always, to where the door can be open if they decide to come back.
Is that something that's kind of unique to the last couple of years, with the portal being open, where maybe you maintain relationships with prospects and or their families, that instead of maybe being upset that you that you have a second chance at bringing them in? Is that something that's happened that you've noticed since you've been recruiting?
Maybe more with other people. I think my philosophy has always been that, when you do have a someone who's going to another university, hey, they made a decision that they feel is best for them, and I'm going to respect that. And so, again, I go back to one of the comments I made earlier. This window to play college football is small. It comes and goes really fast. I hope they all have an amazing experience. These guys that work really hard deserve that. But I will always wish them the best. And I think just how you handle things does, I think, in their minds, make it more approachable for them if they do enter the portal to look at University of Washington, especially if they're an in-state, kid, a prospect, and give them the kind of like understanding that, this is a program still that if I did have that happen, that I would still look at because of how we handled things.
You said Austin Mack will still be in the mix, obviously, but what are the differences, since we don't know Will Rogers as well, what are the differences between him and Michael Penix, and what are the similarities?
Between Will and or Austin?
Michael, yeah.
Between Will and Michael? Well, they've both played a lot of football, so that's a similarity right there. And I think that's, what Michael had coming in is just, and I'd seen it firsthand, so that was helpful. But they've got a lot of experience, a lot of yards, a lot of checks that they've made, a lot of big moments that they've been. So there's I think there's probably more similarities than there are differences. I think the similarities also of being a very accurate passer. And that's, until you really with someone, I think it's hard to know exactly, but it ain't just about looking at the stats and seeing that a kid's, 69%, and that's, in a year or whatever, and knowing, oh, he's an accurate passer. It depends on what those throws are and things like that, but we feel that he is accurate. I feel like much like Michael, and we've seen Michael get out and run around. I think that, distributing the ball and as a passer first, I think is kind of what they both are. Very heady, both guys that are leaders, not afraid to be out in front of the team. Probably more similarities than, and I mean, Michael's elite, as far as just being able to throw the ball down the field. To me, I'll put him up there until someone else knocks him off as one of the best in the country, if not the best, and he's who we have right now. So of course I'm feeling pretty strong about talking about who he is and what he's done, and you guys have all seen it. But I think Will certainly has those capabilities to, throw the ball down the field. I think it's just a matter of the style of offense that you're a part of, and it will be different than what he was a part of. And there'll be, I don't know if there's really adjustment. I think you just learn the offense, and you're a quarterback. And we teach the progressions. I think the verbiage is probably the biggest thing to learn, and then the nuances of working with your skill and knowing how they run routes, and just spending a lot of time, throwing in the spring and the summer. And just, that's what those guys did with Michael. The receiving corps just spent a lot of time, and he can envision and knows when a guy came out of his break different in practice than when he normally does it in a game, and just talk that through. So I think there's probably more similarities than there are differences, but each guy is his own guy, and there'll be certainly things that we work with Will, and as we figure him out, when he's on the field, we'll tailor around him. I think when we were going through this a couple years ago, we were trying to figure out between multiple quarterbacks, does the offense change with different guys? The offense doesn't really change, but I think the ball ends up sometimes in different spots because of who the quarterback is. Even though the progressions, the reads really should be the same, sometimes the alert throw, a guy takes it and versus another guy not taking it, and maybe a little peek at a deep ball, versus another guy doing it, so maybe a little more risk versus, a guy who doesn't take as many risks. So, we'll see as we go through, and that's the exciting thing about coaching is we get to, the next challenge of figuring out how to tailor our offense around a new quarterback. Now Michael will be, moving on, but we're gonna enjoy these last moments with Michael here while we have him. So.
With the Mississippi State connection, how much of an impact did Dylan Johnson's season have on getting Will to consider this place?
I'm sure there are some that there was, as far as Will hearing Dylan out and understanding what we were as a program and what the staff was like and the players. I think from our end, it was also us asking Dylan, what's Will about, and just, he raved about him, and I think a lot of times from a player's perspective, it's like, yeah, he's a baller and this and that. And, I think the toughness and the grit and those type of things are probably what they feel, along with just, man, he's a good guy, good dude, good leader, a lot of things that, Dylan, shared with us. We'll do the evaluation of what the film looks like and what his talents are, but, Dylan talked about that a little bit, but there are some things that he shared with us that gave us a lot of confidence in Will, and why we pursued him.
With Dylan helping maybe a little bit, getting Will, how much can we anticipate Will helping you and keeping Dylan here?
We need that, don't we? Yeah, I don't know. I think every guy's got to make the decision for themselves that they feel is best. And so I think building people around you helps you feel better about your chances of coming back or what that, But in the end, I think each guy's got to make his own decision. We want what's best for Dylan, and we're certainly working through that process with him. And he's, I think, a lot of the thing, again, timing. These guys right now, coaching staff and players, are extremely focused on the rest of our season right now, and that's. It's not like, again, we're just playing in a bowl game, any bowl game. We're getting ready to play for a chance to go to a national championship. So, as much as I think you can't help but think about it at least a little bit, and that's the reality of it. I think there's also a lot where it's just like, man, just focus and be in the now, be in the present, and it makes it hard for us a little bit building our team for next year. But also, hey, we'll take what we're going through right now, and continue. It's only making us, more attractive for any guy out there that maybe would be interested in looking at our program.
People are going to ask about a contract extension until one's done. Any update on that you can share?
I just want to say, the university, Troy Dannon, I'm just so appreciative of what they're doing, and I think one thing that. I think there's just kind of in good faith. I talked about the players going through what they are, and not that you can't do multiple things, because we are working through that with the contract. I just think that you're so focused on the recruiting and you're focused on the game planning, and I'm not saying it's not typical, but I think a lot of times things like this are done before or after the season, or in the off season. But I just can't say enough about how I feel like Troy and the university are making it a priority. And so, it's been good, and it may feel like it's getting elongated, and that pressure should not be put on them. It's just right now we're in the moment, and we're working in good faith with each other, and I'm appreciative of what's going on and the direction it continues to go.